Welcome back. I have struggled with this episode, I don't know how many times, and I'm not exactly sure why that is that I've had such a hard time recording this. So I tried to look at what it is that I'm trying to say and become a little bit more focused on what it is that I need, what the message is for today. I think sometimes I can get caught up in delivering a message and forget what the spirit is behind the message. This is a more difficult process than I really understood. When a person listens to a podcast for whatever type of content, it doesn't matter the content, it's very put together, it's very buttoned up. And I myself am not a put together or buttoned up person. Like, I feel internally chaotic. But a podcast is so neatly designed and laid out and curated for us that it seems deceptively simple. It is not simple at all. While I don't mind at all sharing my life with other people and how I got from point A to point Z on the inside, it's more difficult than it seems to tell a story in a straight line. If anyone knows me, they know I operate from a stream of consciousness, and we'll be talking for 15 minutes and then a piece of gold will be mined up from our conversation. It's just, I need a long runway. That's who I am. I need a long runway. But once I get going, I'm pretty good. I take off. So I debated on what the original idea was for this particular episode. And, I prayed before I started to record, and I prayed during, and I've stopped and re-recorded and all of this. And I just got through praying again. I'm like, why am I having such a hard time with today's message? I had it clearly lined out. I've written some talking points. Why am I having such a hard time delivering this message? And I just think that I am truly an organic person. So this medium, while I love how this platform gives such an interesting access to the inner workings of people or facts or whatever you're seeking, it's actually a lot harder for me personally than I ever thought. So there's more to it. And it interrupts my stream of consciousness to actually have to outline and do some work, but that's the discipline. In my mind, I'm like, I shoot out pearls of wisdom. Why do I need to prepare for this? Well, as the title of this podcast indicates, I am not prepared. And it's a state that I don't mind being in. I love it when my higher power just completely slaps me in the face with some stuff. And I can feel the slap. I can feel the tingle. I can feel the pressure. I can feel the blunt force of being slapped with some new stuff. It could be positive, new ideas, new directions in my life. I love how my spirit has been moved because I've chosen to stay open to new ideas, new people. I've chosen to seek out what I don't know. And this can happen for me on a micro level. It can happen on a much larger scale. I'm very grateful for the curiosity that I've been given to go seek out some new stuff because it's been so rewarding. A friend of mine asked me for some pictures, if I had them, of a specific site or topic. Every time I go through my phone's camera roll, I'm like, geez, I've had such a great life. You ever get stuck going through your gallery and you're like, damn, that was a good day. And you've forgotten your whole mission, why you were there, what you were looking for. And I'm going through whole sections of my life. I take the pictures, you guys. Take the pictures. Post as many pictures as you want, or don't post as many pictures as you want. But take those pictures, because those memories, let me tell you, as a single and child-free person, those pictures have helped kept me sane, and they've helped keep me motivated to do more interesting things over and over and over again. I've put myself in some dumb positions before, and I've had pictures of those dumb positions, and I laugh. And the first or second thing I think was, gosh, how adventurous have I become? I know where I came from, and I know exactly how I've held myself back through my whole life. It's my thought processes, my mindset has held me back so far behind the person I've become today. It's to the point now where I don't even regret the time I wasted. When I first got sober, within the first year, 6 months, I instantly looked back on my life and I thought, damn, I didn't finish college. I didn't stay married, or I didn't find the right guy. I didn't follow some societal norms or some made up schedule with my life. And the fact that I didn't do something or a collection of things really got me down. And now, fast forward all these years in sobriety, in recovery, and I'm basically throwing darts on a map inside myself. I pick something and I go toward it. I move toward it. I have all kinds of ideas that I want to explore, some activities, some things I've never done before. There's a great facility that has opened near my apartment. What is offered there is an indoor skate park. And I thought, it's been probably 40 years since I've been on a skateboard. And I'm like, I'm going to buy a skateboard. I'm going to buy a freaking skateboard. There's a skateboard shop in my town. I'm going to go buy a skateboard. I have not done that yet because I have been completely enthralled with trying to deliver some sort of message to you guys and sharing with you guys through this podcast. So I have temporarily shelved the skateboard idea. However, I will revisit it once I package this up neatly for you guys and give myself a mental break. This has been such a truly vivid process of creating a podcast for you. I want you to know that I'm really just laying the groundwork as your host, so you have some sort of context and some sort of understanding or relationship with me as I go out into the public in the future. My goal with this podcast is not to just talk to myself in my bedroom as I'm doing currently. I would like to reflect back into the community, really cool people I've come across in my life. I would like to get into the nuts and bolts of their thinking and their vulnerabilities, just in a conversational setting. I have had some amazingly powerful discussions with people that have just sprung up on the street. I appreciate that God has given me a nature that welcomes those sorts of conversations. And that is the purpose of this podcast. It's not about me talking about me, because gosh, I cannot tell you the spiritual displacements that happen at the drop of a hat when a space is created for someone to be authentically who they are. People have provided that for me, and I have really shown up and shown out from the inside out to where it's visibly present in my countenance and my demeanor that there's a power greater than me that lives inside me. And that's all I'm trying to get to with other people. It's going to be so great. So in this list of failed attempts at a recording of a podcast for you today was sort of a mixed bag of what I've called lessons learned, or my sponsor calls gold that I've mined throughout my life. It's been a good life. I've had some real down points, down years, just like we all have. When I look back on my life today, instead of being sad or angry or hurt still, that's a big one for me. I walked around hurt for a long time and angry for a long time. And I couldn't understand why I was so mad. Why do I get mad so easily? Why am I so sensitive? I could never understand why it is that I feel things to a degree that makes me so uncomfortable that I become somebody I don't want to be. I could never understand that. And more will be revealed when I record the final episode of my sober story. That's how I'm going to end this podcast, is is how I got sober and why I got sober and how I live sober. And I'm excited to pass that on to you. That's going to probably take a lot out of me. That's going to take a lot out of me telling that story. I haven't told my story in quite some time, but I definitely look forward to it. Not very many people who are in my life today. As a matter of fact, I can't think of any people who are in my life today that saw me drunk. So it's always a surprise when I'll drop little bombs of my story into conversation about how I lived, or remark some way, something about my lifestyle and how I lived in a conversation with someone else. They're like, "No way, that was you?" Yes, that was me. Having developed a growth mindset, which I think is really the crux of today's message, is the power of acquiring and using and building upon a growth mindset has really kept me, quote unquote, in the game. And I just mean an active participant in my life. When I look back, the world and its people really dominated me. I felt like I was on defense a lot. And it's not so much that I want to play offense. It's just that I know that I have a deep desire to control my life. And I know exactly where that comes from. And for many, many, many years, I felt out of control for lots of reasons. But today, by having a growth mindset, and all that means for me is continuing to seek out challenges that make me a better, more interesting, deeper person, make me more true, more vivid, more who I truly am, closer to my heart, and living that every day has benefited me in such a way that I've been able to meet people who are just flat damn amazing. I've been in conversations that have knocked my socks off. I've been exposed to people, places, entities that if I had stayed insecure, if I had stayed placing value on things that really don't have any value today, I would not be in a position to receive that. And churning through life can be a trudge, right? So one of the most valuable things I've learned about the living solo, while again, I do desire to be partnered, but in this season of living solo, continuing to challenge myself with new tasks or simply learning, educating myself in a certain direction, or being a part of certain activities has kept me participating in life. It makes me feel like I have inherent value to give, to serve as a conduit, to take a message from one place and deliver it to another. People respect me today, which is sometimes hard for me to believe because of the way that I used to live. Sometimes in my prayer life, I'm just like, God, do you believe these people actually want my feedback? They actually think I'm helpful? And of course, my God is like, yes, I made you that way. Welcome. I love that I can be where I'm at in age, where I'm at in experience, where I'm at in my location, and still be wanting more out of life in the best way. There was always a ceiling on everything I would do and be and think and feel. There was always this unspoken feeling that I can only ask for so much out of myself or other people or out of life. I put this artificial cover over my eyes, my heart, the depth of my emotions. There was always this sort of cloud, this layer that this is the best I can do. And that evokes some emotion for me because I know exactly where I was over the years when I felt like that. Why I stayed with that man, why I didn't leave that city. It's because at the time, that was the best I could do. Maybe it truly was the best I could do. I tell you, I have busted out. I have just completely burst those ideas and broken through, and it feels fucking good. I just got to say that. It feels fucking good when people meet me and they think I'm interesting or I'm helpful or whatever their positive perception of me is, it's because of the fact that I used to be something. What you're seeing is a work in progress that is much, much closer to the image that I should be creating for myself daily. I have held myself under, I've held myself back, I've held myself down for the dumbest of reasons. It's either seeking external validation or not feeling good enough, and all at the hefty price of my mental health and how I perceive myself. If it's not you keeping me down, what your judgment is, what I think your judgment is, it's me keeping me down. And I am here to tell you, no one possesses the power to keep me down like I keep me down. And so choosing not to do that today, being armed with the facts about my life and choosing to turn away from those thoughts and behaviors, that's the victory. That's the victory. That's the stuff I wish we would acknowledge more in a larger scale and publicly about how sometimes the world didn't do this to me. I did this to me because I didn't have the tools to do and learn and be better. Now I take responsibility for my actions, and complete transparency is how I like to live. I'm created a whole podcast, at least a whole podcast season, about what's on my inside so that I can show you how much work goes into being vulnerable. And I do respect and appreciate those who tend to hold themselves a little tighter. I understand that. But for me, I have been blessed beyond belief. And so to give myself away in this manner with an effort to be helpful to other people, to start conversations, to make myself available for discussion or exploration, that is the key. I am single and child-free for a reason. And if I can do things to help other people, that's where I need to be. I need to be in the game. I need to be part of life. And this is my wholly concerted effort to remain active with you, part of a community. I am so blessed and grateful to have chosen this podcast. It's been a deeply immersive experience to have an idea, produce, create, edit, publish, and the new skills that are developed around this activity. Honestly, if nobody listens to this, I learned something new. That's the growth mindset. That's the power of the growth mindset. Picked up my dart and I threw it on the map and I said, I want to do a podcast. And I fucking did it. It's really that simple. That's all I'm here to do is lift a mirror up. People have told me throughout my single life, gosh, Autumn, you participate in all these things. I could never. And I'm like, are you sure? Because it's really not, it's a very low barrier to entry. The things that I do require maybe a Google search. You know what I mean? I'm not splitting atoms over here in Albany, New York, Maybe that's the inherent purpose of this too, is to show how simple, maybe not easy, but how simple something is to just pick a direction and go in it and see what happens, man. At the end of the day, my whole life is not going to be validated on whether or not this podcast goes viral. It doesn't matter. The fact that I chose a direction and I picked up the tools to complete the process, and now I've learned a lot of something, that's it. That's life. That is life encapsulated for me. If there was anything I could pass on about being at this part of my life, seeing with these eyes, feeling with this heart, and having experienced everything I've experienced thus far, my message would be, keep going. Keep going. There's more out there than we think. Whatever I think I know, there's more. And I hope you keep seeking it. I'll talk to you again soon.